We're taking a look at some underplayed Commander cards.
I'm your host, Joe Cherries.
I'm your host, Beezy, and that makes us the Nitpicking Nerds. Guess what? We're still here, and we're going to be here until we die making Commander videos. That includes today, so if you want to support us so we survive, I don't know, I had no segue there, you can go to patreon.com, and that'll give us all the money we need to survive.
Yes, if you're a patron, we will love you as much as we can without making you uncomfortable. Obviously, that's how it works. Also, you can support us on tcgplayer.com. Go use our affiliate link in the description below. As long as you start with that link, you buy the cards at the same price and you support the nerds.
Wow, and we're sponsored by Moxfield. Mid-roll ad, you're never going to guess it. Happy birthday to everyone's birthday is today.
Yes, today's video is underplayed cards. These are cards that, for how good they are not in nearly enough decks. Like, some of these are like surprisingly, like shockingly underplayed.
Shockingly underplayed. That should be the thumbnail.
Shockingly underplayed. What? Okay, so let's start with the first one. And this is a card we have talked about in the past, but I feel like we haven't mentioned it in
Not a ton recently.
Yeah, not a ton recently. It's Benevolent Offering, which is 4 mana. You make 3 spirits. You give someone else 3 spirits. Then you gain 2 life for each creature you control. And then an opponent also does that. Key to this is you give one opponent 3 spirits. Another one gains life, the one with the least amount of creatures, and then you make a couple of friends along the way, and you get a great rate on life gain, like a really good rate on life gain, combined with 3 bodies. This card is an overperformer. It's an 8,000 decks, which is 1% of all white decks. There are 8,000 decks it's in. There are 36,000 life gain decks with white in them.
I don't know how I would exclude this from a life gain deck.
I almost forgot. The only reason I almost forgot it from my deck, I immediately included it as soon as someone said it, because when I was looking at life gain decks, like for reference, to see
wasn't on there.
It wasn't on there. It's like, what is going on? This card is incredible.
There's 22,000 token decks too, and you know the slots in at least some of them, and we never mentioned how many spirit decks there are. So it's just like 8,000? Really? 1%? This card is a banger. Please get Benevolent Offering in your life gain spirits tokens decks, please.
And it's just a good card. This card can legitimately just fit in a good stuff slot.
That's I have it in a good stuff slot. And this next one is a good stuff slot card. It's Dak Faden, the Deadest Thief in the Multiverse. He +1s to have somebody Faithless Looting. You could target someone else. Don't do that most of the time. -2, steal an artifact. He starts at 3 loyalty, so we can just do that. And then there are more words on it, but I'm going to stop reading it. 10,000 decks, 2% of all decks you could be in. Dak Faden just falls into the good stuff category. We're like, is there a Commander game where there isn't a good artifact that you just don't want to steal? You just don't want the best artifact? Sol Ring is running around, not in our games, but in games.
I just think a simple fact of the matter for Dak Faden is that 3 mana, 1 blue, 1 red, and a generic mana gain control of an artifact is a playable card as a sorcery.
What card beats that rate? Nothing, really.
Yes, so what this card is doing is way more than that, because this is a Planeswalker that requires an attack to get off the battlefield, pluses to filter you through cards, can get you advantage in that way, and it has an ultimate that does nothing.
Right. Does Shatter have an ultimate that does nothing? No, don't just destroy it. Steal it for yourself. It's not tied to Dak Faden. This isn't related to that. You just get it forever, and now they have to answer the thing that you stole and Dak Faden.
Dak Faden it just really is a really strong Magic card that is vastly underplayed.
Like, you could just throw this in 90% of Izzet decks and have it be really good.
Yes. Next
and
card.
So 2%, not okay.
Yeah, this next card is both an overperformer, because it has shocked me by how good it has been, and obviously it is underplayed because it is Zat's Vil.
And it's a budget bomb.
It is also a budget bomb too. That is true. It's everything.
It's everything we ever do.
This video is everything. 15,000 decks, 1% of all black decks. This card is really good. This card is automatically getting you that 3-for-1.
Why?
Every single time. Because when you cast it, they sacrifice their highest power among creatures they control. Usually going to be their best thing. Usually the highest power creature is their very best creature. And then, on top of that, you exile their graveyards, and you get a bunch of 0-1 throws. If you're taking advantage of those throws, this card is great.
It's Graveyard Hate. It's a 3-for-1. It's an instant, and it gives you a bunch of chump blockers / fodder for whatever shenanigans you're running into. This isn't a competitive card, but it's not bad enough that I would say it should only be in 15K decks or 1%. I think it's way above 1%. There's a lot of decks that are not competitive out there. It turns out it's most of them. I think this is a shoo-in.
I think instant speed Graveyard Hate gets this huge boost. There is something to be said for this card, and we also have been playing Kaya's Guy LBZ as in the deck. What these get you compared to the Sorcery Speed ones that are strong. Like, there's no doubt that Bajuka Bug is still very good. In all the other ones, in the on-board one tricks, those are good.
They're not the same as instant speed because Soul Guide Lantern on board isn't really instant speed.
Exactly, because what you get out of this is a 2-for-1.
The blowout when they go for something.
Well, this is like a 4-for-1 because you're already getting rid of a creature. Because they're going to go for the reanimate on their creature. You do this in response. You get rid of the graveyard. You get rid of the threats, and you end up with creatures. This card gets so much advantage. And like BZ said, this is not a CDH card. This isn't a 9-power card, but this is a strong card. Especially, we've talked about in the past how graveyard hate is really important to decks with how much the graveyard is used.
Yeah, so if you're looking for more graveyard hate, this is like the perfect way to slot another one in. As long as you're not losing on turn 1, 2, 3, 4 to combos, I think this is going to be a good card.
Yes. Next, we have Rampant Rejuvenator in 9K decks, which is 1% of all green decks. +1/+1 counters decks are an extremely played strategy.
Yeah, this card's been around long enough that I think that the time has passed. This should probably be in more decks now.
Well, yeah, but actually what EDH Rec does, it only judges it by decks that have been around since this card has come out.
Exactly. It's just like, it's still so low, 1%. I need more because it's not like I need you to be playing this, but I would happily play a scalable, sad robot on complete steroids that dies into 1,000,000 basics because I'm putting extra counters on it, or I'm sacrificing it, or I'm recurring it.
If you're playing a green-black graveyard deck, period. If you're playing your kind of deck, your Marin decks.
I'm listening.
If you're playing your Kara decks, I think this just goes in it because this is your Sky Shroud claim in a creature slot for those decks.
Just kill it, which we can do.
Which you can do because you have sack outlets in your Marin, in your Carador. These decks just absolutely go wild for this card, and it has synergies with counters decks. It's just, there is a million different little things that this card does very, very well. I would just say, make sure you have a way or two in the deck to get it off the battlefield so it's not just stuck there as a 2/2.
Yeah, but geez, this, for how many decks it slots into, needs to see some more play. Or it could see some more play. Or I think you would benefit from playing it more.
I think this might be, I didn't, like, and I'm really just coming to this epiphany right now because I like it in counters decks and I like it in some other decks. But the epiphany that it might just be really good in, like, Carador and Marin, just like hitting me right now. I was like, those lands come in untapped.
Definitely good in Nethroid. Bring it back for free.
Oh my goodness, yeah, it's so good. Tim Rude, get in your Nethroid deck.
Do it. Number 5.
Drown in Dreams. It's in 20,000 decks. That's a lot. 2% of all blue decks. But Blue Sun Zenith, which I would say is a much worse card, in my opinion. Not that the card's bad. It is a good card for sure. It's in 48,000 decks. 5% of all blue decks.
More than 2 times.
This card is just so much better, I think.
It's got all the same things. You can force somebody to draw, or you can draw. But also, bonus, if you have Commander, you can 2x mill somebody or 2x mill yourself. So if you're casting it for a bajillion, you're killing 2 players instead of 1 with Blue Sun Zenith, or drawing a bunch of cards and killing somebody. And it's like easier to cast all the time. It's 2 colorless than the mana cost.
I just think that the shuffling into your deck is not nearly relevant enough compared to the fact that Drown in Dreams gives you a whole nother mode.
While saving pips.
And the fact that you, like you said, you mill yourself, it's great. You mill an opponent, it's great depending on what the situation calls for. This card just scales better into the late game, in my opinion, and gets you the exact same rate with less pips. I'm in for it. I understand there are decks that want Blue Sun Zenith first.
Or both.
Well, or both. But it's like there are the decks where it's like Blue Sun Zenith is the card you want over because you need that shuffle back in effect. I think those are few and far between, though.
I mean, how much shuffling do you need when you get the job done easier by just milling somebody else?
Exactly. This next one is a budget ban.
It is a budget ban.
It is a budget ban. And it is Sarkhan's Unsealing. In 9,000 decks, 1%. I think your big stompy deck can just play this card. This card is silly good. It's like
why?
It's juiced up Mizium Mortars.
How?
Every time you cast a 7-power creature, it triggers to deal 4 to each opponent and each creature they control. So you're just wiping the board out. If this thing isn't answered, do you really want to play anything with 4 less toughness? I don't think so because you're just going to run it into another board wipe that's already on the battlefield.
Right, and then your mid-rangey 4, 5, and 6 powers are still just throwing 4 damage at something and taking things out while you're waiting to get your 7s. You need at least 8 to 10 7 drops or 7 powers, or your commander has 7 power, and this thing is just a complete shoo-in. I mean, this with something like Dargo, it just makes me go, ugh.
Yeah, I think I really, really love when your commander has 7 power. That is a sweet spot. Like
Maelstrom Wanderer,
yeah,
that's another good one.
Maelstrom Wanderer is a good one. Dargo, like you said, like that's a very, very sweet spot. It's already good. You can play it when you have the nice high counts, but if your commander has it, it's like, yeah, get this in your deck. This card's so good.
And then it's like the fact that it's a budget card. This works for Sotswell too. Is like I would think it'd be in more decks then, because this card does even more for you when you have less money or more restrictions on what your deck can be. This is the big stompy finisher that just kind of sticks around because it's an enchantment. Very low investment. It's really, really good. You should try it.
Know what's a low investment? Moxfield.com.
$0 investment, actually.
Yeah, literally $0. Use the best deck building website out there. Sort your by tags. Oh my god, do you know they have dark mode? Because dark mode on any website makes it about 500 times better. Moxfield was the best deck building website, and then I realized they had dark mode, and now it's the best times 500.
Yeah, if you ever had your eyes bleed while staring into a screen, Moxfield, once you turn it to dark mode, you forget that ever happened to you in the past. That redacted website ever did that to you.
Yeah, exactly. Moxfield.com has so many amazing features and so many amazing deck builders. Obviously, Nitpicking Nerds are on there. Check us out. But there's Rachel Weeks. We got the Play to Win crew. There's tons of
CDH people.
Oh, CDH, they are very popular in there. If you want to see some CDH decks, they're all over the place. Jim from Spike Feeders uses it. Look at his decks. Cobblepot. There's so many people.
Shaper's another big one.
Yeah, another big one. There's tons of people building decks over there. Go find them. Follow your favorite content creators on Moxfield.com.
In dark mode.
In dark mode.
Yeah, let's get to number 7. We talked about this more than I thought we ever would. It's Prized Statue. It's 7,700 decks, 1%. But this is like one of your prime cards for like just replaceable, sacrificable permanents. It's 2 permanents at once, treasure, and a thing. But then when you sacrifice it, which we love to do in the decks we're playing this in, you get another treasure. Now you have 2 more things to sacrifice, which also generate mana, which just lets you keep going. There's 32,000 sac decks out there, and it's like there's definitely more out there that don't fit into specifically the sacrifice bubble that EDH Rec has. Price Statue's barely in any of them.
It's like Price Statue goes in every single Dargo deck that's ever been built.
Every artifact deck that can sacrifice artifacts, I feel like this is just in there.
If you're a deck that's looking to sacrifice artifacts, it's not even close. This card is amazing. It is 3 artifacts, 2 of them sacrificed by themselves, and then you just need a way to get rid of this one. It's so ridiculously strong. 3 permanents for 2 mana. What is it asking of you? To do what your deck is doing already, to sacrifice it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're playing Nibblewright's Stone or Servo Schematic, this is better permanents for the same rate.
Is it Nibblewright Stone? Is it really
I don't know. Nibblewright's Schematic, maybe?
I think it's Nibblewright Schematic. I think they're both Schematic.
Servo Stone. If you're playing those cards, I think I would play this first.
Yes, I think Prize Statue is the better option if you don't care about the creatures especially. Next one, a card I am just super high on.
Good.
If you're playing combat metas, this card is amazing. It is Karlash, Fury of Avernus, in 17,000 decks. Currently 2% of all the decks it can be in. And what really gets me is that when you compare it to Relentless Assault, which is in 36,000 decks, 4% of all decks it can be in.
That's a one-time deal.
That's a one-time deal. I think that Karlash is if you're not comboing, it is not close, the best way to take an extra combat. I don't even think there's a card that comes close in the non-comboing.
Yeah, we're talking about like we'd rather have it than Aurelia. We'd rather have it than Seize the Day, depending on what you're doing. This doesn't care if it has haste or not. It just says when you attack, great. Here you go. And you know what? Here's a keyword. Bonus.
Exactly. The keyword is not a bad keyword. It's not like a random one. It's not like
relevant in combat. It's not reach.
Exactly. It's not reach. It's like literally these things gain first strike. It's like, do you know how good first strike is in combat? It's one of the best abilities in combat. That and Trample are 2 of the very best ones you can get. Karlash is my go-to. Like, if I want extra combat, it's Karlash. The first card I'm putting in, I don't want Seize today. I don't want Relentless Assault. And I love those cards. Those cards are good.
We don't need World at War. Here you go. This is it.
Karlash first, and then you can consider other ones. Like, if you have this one in, then maybe talk about the other
Talk about Aurelia after, but I don't even want to look up how many decks Aurelia's in. Karlach is just the woman for the job.
She is. And don't be fooled by her weird, what does she have? What's the
background?
Yeah, don't be fooled by the background. That text does not matter at all.
Flavor text.
Literal flavor
text. Put
it
in quotes so you can feel better about it.
I'm pretty sure the card wasn't supposed to have partner, but then they realized that they wanted all the
All or nothing.
all the monocolored in the set to be less confusing to have that. So I thought that was pretty funny to think about. This next one is an insult. I'll let you go off because this is one of your favorite cards.
How long have we had this channel? Like 17 years, and we've been talking about Ranger of Eos the entire time. And in that entire time, throughout the 2-year spans where EDH Rec is updating, we've only banked 7,400 Ranger of Eoses out there. 1%. This thing goes and finds 2 1-drops, and the 1-drops are like cards. So when you go find 2 1-drops, you're up 2 cards, and this has an Enter the Battlefield ability, so it can be flickered. It's basically card draw. It's kind of a toolbox tutory thing. There's a lot of creatures you can get. Mother of Runes, Giant Killer, Sarah Ascendant, Thraben Inspector, like all of a sudden Soul Ward, and now we're just doing a bunch of different stuff.
Esper Sentinel.
Esper Sentinel. Why is it 7,400? I don't know.
This card is absolutely amazing. I don't play it in decks because I don't like tutors because I think tutors are unfun. Personally, that's how I play.
I feel like the rest of the community that's not why this is seeing underplayed.
I agree with you 100% because look at the number of decks Demonic Tutor is in.
I did. It's in 28% of black decks, which is 285,000 decks.
Which means that people aren't shying away from tutors. Like, it's not about the number. Like, obviously, Demonic Tutor is going to see more play. It's going to be in a higher percentage than Ranger of Eos. But it's not. If Ranger of Eos is not seeing play because people are looking at it as a power thing, it's weird because this card is powerful. It is strong. It does a lot of good things.
It finds really good cards. So it's like if you've got a weenie deck with some 1-drops, throw one more 1-drop in there, and now you just got like this toolbox package. Go ahead and add Ranger Captain of Eos to find even more and get even more stuff going. It just feels so easy to have Ranger of Eos in your deck and just have an extra little bit of toolbox power / card advantage.
It's not even like I expect this card to be like in 10% decks. 2, 3, give me 3%.
It's just good.
It's just a very, very good Magic card. Like, no doubt about it, this is a very strong card that is being vastly underplayed. This, I think, is the most underplayed on the whole entire list.
Underrated for life, Ranger of Eos. Poor guy.
He's been around. It's not even a new card.
It's not even close. It's like 15 years old.
It's like a 15-year-old Magic card. People are
Give him some respect. They're taking a 15-year nap on Ranger of Eos.
15-year nap on this guy.
Wake up.
What's the next one, BZ?
It's Aerial Extortionist, 6,700, Dex 1%, so less play than Ranger, but it is a newer card. This card is just kind of fantastic. I think the exiling is nice. It's sort of like returning to hand, but then they're incentivized to recast it, which then draws you cards. So we got white card draw, we've got a repeatable trigger, we've got removal, we got disruption, we got flying. I don't know what else I'm supposed to ask for on this card.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of this card. Plus, it just permanently pretty much gets rid of tokens. So this card is removal in a lot of ways, and like you said, it is kind of like bouncing. But if they get the replay, you get the draw. This card is just very, very good. And not only that, it also draws whenever they cast their commander, whenever they cast a flashback spell. All these little tiny things. Whenever they play Faldorn, you draw 30 cards in one turn.
Yeah, it's just amazing. Certain decks, actually, you just kind of, Prosper, Faldorn, Madness, just turn this card on and they almost can't play.
Yeah, which is amazing. I really just think that this is a perfect removal slot, especially for like mono white, maybe blue white decks.
Or like flicker, flying, combat damage. There's a lot of decks that can use this.
Yeah, you can take advantage of it in a lot of different ways. I think as soon as this draws one card, which it almost always does, I'm there because you already got the value, you already got something exiled, and now it's drawing a card for whatever was cast. That's when this card is like, okay, this is amazing as soon as it draws one card.
And now it's liable to do it again, as you're just going to keep going.
Yeah, and we actually did more underrated cards last year. I mean, underplayed. Underplayed cards last year.
Last year.
Literally last year.
Last month, maybe?
No. Underplayed?
Underplayed? It's been a while since Underplayed.
It's been...
My bad.
It's been about 10 months.
10 months.
If you want to go check out that video, it's right here.
Time travel's possible.
Yeah, I don't even think we had these cool lights yet. Peace out, Tribe Scouts.